All right. Looks like everything's up and running. So we'll go ahead and just jump right into it. So let me go ahead and leave this right here. Yep. Yeah, we'll go with this. We'll go with this right here. All right. So what is going on, everybody? I'm Dr. Luigi, and today we are going to be making the UNU Police 650. Let me go ahead and mute my playback there. So this is going to be hopefully a pretty quick stream. We're just going to make a police variant of the UNU 650. Now this is going to be in the latest version of UNU that's coming out as of the streaming tomorrow. Oh, sorry, not tomorrow, the 26th, so that's Saturday. So then this is the big UNU update. I like to think of it as the real version 5 update. Adds a lot of new features, and I'll sort of get into that as I make this quality UNU product. So, of course, we got to start with the stock 650. Now I'm going to be starting with the base 650 sedan, and then I'm going to need to copy this over here, and going to go to the Baron, and then so yes, emergency Baron sedan police. This is going to be the emergency. I'm going to kind of copy the name and then boom, boom. UNU Civil Emergency Vehicle, UNU 650 Base Sedan Police. A very short and concise name, indeed. Alright, UNU Civil Emergency Vehicle, UNU 650 Base Sedan Police. Alright, just want to make sure that the name is correct. Emergency Vehicle, UNU 650 Base Sedan Police. Excellent. Alrighty. So, we got quite a few people popping in the chat. So yeah, while tomorrow may be the 26th in Australia, this is, of course, Pacific time. I'll probably upload the new update a little early, just to make sure that everything's cleared out for the advertised release date of the 26th. But I am on the west coast of the old United States of America, and so we are pretty much towards the end of the time zones. So, alrighty, so this is it, the one, the only, the beautiful UNU 650 base sedan, and we're going to go ahead and turn this into the police version. So, first up, I've got to copy the base texture, the base template texture. There is a lot of organization that goes into maintaining so many different vehicles. Now, where did the copy that I just made go? UNU base, there it is. Excellent. File. Import texture from file. UNU base sedan police. All right. Now the nice part about the base sedan is it does not have a two-tone paint scheme, so that makes it easy to make the two-tone texture. All right, delete those just so I end up with the right one. All right, so the paint scheme, of course, there's going to be a couple different types. The first type is going to be the usual, I call it the Blackthorne paint scheme, and that is the type that is the black and white that I use on most of the police vehicles. I like it. It's like an old school type deal where you've got the black on top and bottom and then white down the middle. And of course I use template textures because it makes it easier to apply my paint schemes. Now, one thing I always forget, especially on vehicles like this that have chrome trim, is how I divide it on the pillars here. So let me go ahead and pull up a rabbit. Why is the base model still has white wall wheels? So this is just the vehicle texture. The base model in game actually just has white stripe tires instead of white walls. All right, this is the second police texture. Rabbit, and the first police texture. Okay, so I do paint the pillars as well. Okay. This is the boring part where it's just a matter of texturing. The police vehicles actually do have quite a lot that goes into them. Um, there's quite the difference between the normal police vehicles, or really between the police vehicles and the normal vehicles, particularly in this next update, which is pretty cool. You're going to see some nice new features that are coming to the police vehicles, kind of show them some love. The quality UNU Patreons and all that, I've already had a chance to play around with it. So I'm excited to kind of this will be like an early a sneak peek for those who are joining on the stream today. But it kind of brings some life into the police vehicles, and I'll talk about that more as we get into the Jason, because it's partially due to the changes in Jason that Don Bruce has allowed with variable modifiers. So variable modifiers are a big game changer, especially for UNU, and it's what's allowed some of the new features that are coming to UNU to happen. Because I am very focused on creating a lot of content and making sure it is extremely consistent. So because of that, there are certain features that I've experimented with, but haven't really wanted to implement into UNU because they don't really scale. And that's, of course, meaning that they don't. It's hard to do a lot of it, you know. I've got 140 some odd vehicles, so if I can't do something quickly across all of them, then I don't really want to, you know, spend days working on each individual vehicle because that's just too much. So, but there are quite a lot of new features that are coming to UNU, and I'm pretty excited about features that have long belonged in UNU, but are finally going to see the light of day. Features that there's part of it is the reason why I'm releasing it on the 26th is it's a 3-year anniversary to one of my first experimentations with one of the features that's being added. So definitely something to get excited for. All right. And yeah, Fredbear in 1983 says that he's thinking about starting Minecraft modeling but not coding. That's what I do. I'm not a big coder. I've coded a few small things into MTS, but I am by in no means a coder. I'm a modeler. So it's a good world to be in. And I hope that you decide to. There is, I forget his name. What's his name? He was just in the chat up here. Dub. Dub is making a Halo pack for MTS, and I'm excited to see that one. It's my favorite upcoming pack that's coming out. I think it's really original in terms of MTS content, and so I'm excited to see a newcomer doing something so ambitious. It's a good time for the MTS community, in terms of new people joining. Not necessarily in some other aspects, but hey, I think it'll all be fine. This is the easy part, just some texturing. Alright, and then I always like to make sure that I'm not overdoing the texturing on the inside here. And I did, right over here. Alright, well, I guess I can't fix that, so... Alright. Yeah, I do need to do more branding with UNU, like, transmissions and stuff. Like with, I need to change some of the names that the UNU engines use, so rather than just being the standard V8 and all that, having things like how Chevy did it back in the day, we've got like the Blue Flame and all that. So I definitely kind of want to expand out the UNU branding because we do have a few internal brands like Espestech and whatnot, but I need to make a lot more so it feels a little more like a world rather than just everything being UNU. But that is something that's going to be worked on over the future. One thing I'm thinking about is I want to implement curb feelers I want to implement more customization into UNU so you can like add curb feelers and fender skirts and all that. Some of the cars already have some of that, but with that I want to make them be custom company names like Dr. Feelgood curb feelers and stuff like that. And make neon signs to go with it all. So it is stuff that I am thinking about, and I definitely do want to implement some sort of system for transmissions, because I think that'd be really cool. Whatever happened to MMM, Moonspire Metropolitan Motors? That is an interesting question. So MMM was a company, was a pack made by a Unili, and I believe she still makes some content, but just not necessarily MTS content anymore. Every once in a while she flirts with coming back, but it never really pans out. So maybe she'll come back and make content. Her bus is still one of the single bus that is incredibly outdated. It's still one of the most popular MTS packs in terms of download count. But yeah, unfortunately, MMM is currently abandoned and existed in UNU as sort of a joint cooperative effort. So that's that. What name? So, Dude Voice asks what kind of names and brands I have in mind. So I've already shared a couple of them. Dr. Feelgood, Curb Feelers, Espestech, Quality Friction Products, things like that. But beyond that, I don't really have a lot of ideas. Those are sort of the few I've come up with. I haven't, sat down and thought about it too much. But I do want to implement, very like 1950s, 60s sounding names. Like Electrolux Vacuum Cleaners was a real company back in the day. And so, things like that. Things that harken back to an era of toxic positivity. All right. I think I'll make this up here, actually, black. I think that white stripe would look a little funky. All right, so we've got the beginning of a paint scheme here. Let me bring back up the Baron, because there are some things I need to rob. All right. So, here's sort of what I'm going for. I'm not going to be able to do all the lights and stuff because I want to use the universal light bar system. But in terms of like the numbering and that sort of thing, so normally with MTS, such as my police vehicles, I'll make a black and white, which is like Blackthorne style, other than this blue and white. But this blue and white scheme is seems to be more like something from the 60s and 70s. So in lieu of this blue and white texture that I normally do, I'm going to do a more traditional black and white texture. So black with white doors. So that's going to be the second option. What is going on here? It looks like these have swapped textures. So I'm going to change that. Yeah, I don't think that's the solution either. So I think I'm actually just going to have to copy these over and then give them new texture positions. Parts, auto texture position. And then repaint everything. Do, 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 do. And then give this the orange inside right there. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so a few people mentioning in chat that the 650 here kind of looks like a Bel Air. And yes, and you probably saw in this picture. So this is the UNU 650 is based off of a 1956 Chevy, and then the UNU 750 is based on a 57 Chevy, and then the Bel Air is a trim model of that. So, yep, those are definitely based on. These are probably some most blaringly, like obviously based on certain vehicles. And I actually own a 56 Chevy in real life, so it's always kind of cool driving this around. I have a specifically a blue 1956 Chevy 150, which is the base trim, which is what this is. The Bel Air is the trim level, and so that's the trim where it comes down and loops back and comes all the way down. And so that's partially why this is the first UNU to have trim levels. And what is going on here? Oh, it looks like there's some more texture bugs. Cool. Parts, auto texture. It always gets a little annoying when there's texture bugs, because it's a pain in the butt to fix on other vehicles. So I'll just hope that nobody notices these stuff on the other models, just because it's a pain in the butt to fix. Okay. It's so weird how sometimes those things just slip through the cracks. All right. Make sure there's no other issues. I'm going to take a look again at the Rabbit police vehicle, so I can kind of see what the do. So is it a two-tone color? If you're asking about my real Bel Air, or my real 56, no. It's just a plain blue one. Although I do have another 56 that my brother and I are flipping, and it's a Bel Air that's a two-tone. Got quite a few cars. Most of them even run. Okay, so it looks like I don't carry the white all the way down on the Rabbit. So I think I will carry it all the way down on the trunk here, but I'll make this black like this. Or should I do that? Whoops. I'm not sure. I think to match the front, I'll make this white. And I'll make the inside white too. I'll just leave it like this. It'll be a little different, but I think it fits the car. Cool. I think I have pictures of my cars. Let me see if I can pull some up. Phone number 2. And yeah, I've shared pictures of my cars on the Discord before. Yes, here we go. So yes, these are my two 56 Chevys. This one's my nice one. It needs an engine rebuild though, and then this one's one that we're gonna fix up. Then my brother and I are gonna fix up and flip. So yes, this other one is a two-tone. Yeah. So yeah, I've got quite a few cars. I think I actually have a picture of all my cars in the driveway. Yeah, these are. I actually acquired a couple since then, but these are all the cars that I'm keeping. So I have that other 56 is one that I'm flipping, but this one, this is my little collection. It's not as expensive as people think if you buy cars that don't run and then fix them up. All right. So now that we've got this taken care of, let's go ahead and start policifying it. So the first is going to be the light bar. Parts, make all parts visible. Okay, so we get the light bar. Don't forget that UNU logo. Show borders. And then all of this fanciness. For all of the different little police specific stuff that's all over the car. Okay, get the numbers. This is one that I'm going to modify. So bring that in here. Get the antenna for the CB radio. Eventually I'm going to animate the spotlights, but for now they're just decoration. The CB radio. And the shotgun. Which will eventually be an actual gun, but for now is just a decoration. Because I haven't looked into making working guns in MTS yet. It's possible. Just haven't looked into it. And the bull bar. Alrighty. So this is everything that makes a police car, according to UNU. So I'm going to move that over here and start bringing it all over. Alright. So we'll go ahead and grab the gun first. The nice thing is this should be invisible. Yep, because I use consistent texture positioning for things like the police kits. Oh yeah, this has plenty of room. Yeah, it's very cramped on the Baron because the Baron is so low, but the 50s cars, that is not an issue. Excellent. Alright, so the gun is taken care of. Next, we'll go ahead and do the light bar. And I think the light bar might have some texture issues. Let's see. Nope, it's good. And I'll scooch it forward one. No, actually, I think right where it was is perfect. Well, now I'll scoot it forward a little bit so I have room for the numbers. Perfect. Alright, I'm actually going to lower this 1/2 pixel because this is supposed to sit perfectly on the roof. Otherwise, it won't work for the single gyrophares. Oop, right there. Alright. Next up, we'll go ahead and do the police logos. Alright, so this is 49, 13, 20. 13, 20, 49. Alright, and then I'll go ahead and just drop this lower a little bit. Well, now I'm in a question. Do I eliminate this piece of trim like was common on police department vehicles back in the day, or do I squeeze it underneath the trim? Or just stick it over the trim as some other places did? That is the question. I think I'll just lower it one. Which makes this whole situation kind of fun. So, this is where I gotta bust out a calculator. Alright, so the length of this thing is 128 minus 60, which is 8. 128 minus 60 minus 60, which is 8. Which means this is an 8 by 8 square, but this part is an 8 by 6. So, we need to take the 8, we need to take the 6, sorry, so we need to take 128, and then multiply it by 6 divided by 8 to get the length of this, which is 96. So this has to be 96. And then I gotta add a bunch to this. Oh, not that one though. Like that. Then this is the same thing, where I take the 128 and then multiply it by 2 divided by 8 to get the proportion of this, which is 32. And then I can just bring this up 1. And then this has to be minus. So here, I'll just make the bottom minus 60 here. And this has to be alright, hold on. So we got 128 divided by 8. So this is 1/16th the size. So I gotta take the 32 divided by 16, which is 2. And so then I need to take the 32, 2 minus 32, which gives me minus 30, divided by 2, which is 15. So this has to be minus 15. And then I just have to scooch it down. Alright. And then I have to position the texture properly. So I need to add 16 to this, or subtract 16. 480. And there we go. Now that's perfect. And then finally, this is 2/3 in. So I need to change this to conveniently that. Perfect. So now we have our police department logo, all ironed out. I think it'll look fine there. This math is too complicated. Oh man, you don't even want to know the animations that I did on the suspension. This is just scaling. This is trigonometry. Alright, a little spoiler there for some of the new features coming to UNU. Alright, so we'll go ahead and copy this over to the other side. And then I'll have to mirror this guy. And then 256 right there. Now this logo is the logo from the license plate. You'll notice that it's backwards, and that is because it's actually rendering on the side facing the door. So this isn't actually an issue. And that's the police logo. Taken care of. So next we'll go ahead and do the spotlight. And the spotlight, look at that, is almost in the perfect position. Let's go ahead and put it right there. I'll have to make the shaft a little longer. That should be fine. And then it looks like I'll have to auto texture these two parts. Something's up. Oh, nope, I'm actually seeing that. I thought that was a texture bug. Coolio. Okay. Welcome to the stream, Professor Mushy. Hope you enjoy yourself here. And then Zuzi Uzi says his friend told him about some new UNU stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of new UNU stuff. Not in terms of content. There are a few new vehicles, but there is going to be a lot of new functionality, and we'll sort of dive into that as I start the JSON on this vehicle. Alright, so next we'll go ahead and add the antenna. Now the antenna is going to be easy. That's just going to pop right here. Yep, that's fine right there. And it's not going to have the cool dual antennas like the Baron. The Baron got stees. Alright, so I'm actually going to go ahead and export this file so that I can import the police stuff. So we got the police sedan right there. Now the nice thing, again, some of the biggest brain stuff that I do with UNU is consistency, and you'll see that right here and why that's very nice. And that's why some of the features that I'm implementing now I haven't implemented until now, because up until now it's been hard to make it consistent. So for example, here we have, this is the police texture sheet for the Baron. And so some of the things that stay consistent with my textures are this little square right here is for the wheels. This little square right here is for the seat. And this little square right here is for the engine. As you see, they're pretty obvious little squares. And those are the same exact texture sheets as the parts. Now, of course, this doesn't really matter for MTS because you just install those parts. But if I ever decide to make this stuff for Flans mod, it makes it very easy. And plus, it's nice to be able to position the engines. And then right here, this is all of the police equipment that gets installed on the vehicle. And so it has its own little spot. This is the text for the police stuff. And so you can kind of see how there's this square here for the police logo. There's this other square here for the police equipment. And then this is the license plate logo. So if I select this area right here, and then invert the selection, and then delete everything else, this is basically this police specific stuff. And then I have my police texture here, and now I can just export it, and then I can import it on here. And now the police texture stuff is, boom, automatically on the police, so I didn't have to redo all those textures. And then as you see, the police logo is there. Again, there's all this random stuff that's on the back side of the part, so you don't have to worry about that. And that won't show up in game. So yeah, and our gun's automatically textured, the spotlight's automatically textured, although I do need to tweak that because I made the handle longer. Luckily, it doesn't interfere with anything. I think it's because I made the handle longer on some other vehicles too. So, boom. Just gotta fix that little texture bug. And yeah, now we can easily continue and see what we're working with. All right, so next we go ahead and do the bull bar. It's a push bar, but I call it a bull bar because that's what Siegel calls it. And so those are one of the concessions I made on the convention, was calling this a bull bar instead of a push bar. I think it is an interchangeable term, but the more vintage term for 'em, and the more American term is bull bar, is push bar, and bull bar I think is more European term. Cool, cool. Will this vehicle make it into the end of Minecraft? So yes. Eventually I will update the end of Minecraft with the more current MTS and UNU versions. The reason I haven't yet is because this latest MTS version fixes the wobbly wheels bug, where if your car is on a slope, the wheels wobble. That bug is finally fixed in version 21, and I was using the version where that bug didn't exist on the end of Minecraft. And so I didn't want to update the end of Minecraft with a version where the wheels wobble, especially because I don't know, I just didn't like that. But this new version will be updated on the end of Minecraft at some point, probably pretty soon. All right, so we got that bull bar taken care of for the push bar, and so now I'm going to add the CB radio. Whoops, that was the wrong thing. All right, so the CB radio right in here. Okay. Go ahead and add the handset right up here. You know, quick aside, I mentioned how I have a 56 Chevy in real life. It has a sticker on the dashboard that talks about unauthorized federal use and whatnot. So I think because it is a base model, I think it was used by the government at some point. It wasn't a police car. I know that much, but it may have been It was a government car, because those are decals that they put on government vehicles back in the day. Well, the floor shifter kind of smacks that, but the floor shifter is an optional accessory, so I'm not going to worry about it. It'll be fine. I'll just make it so you can't put a floor shifter in the police vehicles. Or ignore the problem altogether, which is probably fine since most people probably don't put floor shifters in. Alright, and now the extra text stuff. Stuff that really makes a police car pop. Alright. And this is sort of the last stuff that needs to be done, which is nice. And this is going to need special attention. So this is the number for the police vehicle. So these are modifiable, so you can actually change it. So this is the number, and this is the police department abbreviation. So I think I'll put this up here. And I think I'll put the number on the back here. No, that's, Well, actually, let's see. Alright, so there's just enough room for the number. And I think I'll scoot this forward a little bit. Don't forget that UNU logo. Alright, so there's the number there. And then, how am I going to do this? I think I'll so this is 4. Ah, dang it, it's 5. And then that raises 1.5. So, I'm going to cheat. I could do the trig and figure this out, but I'm just going to cheat and use Blender. Vehicles, UNU 650 base sedan. I could just edit this and then grab it right there. All right, so take this, multiply it by 16. That's 23.25. 23.35 because I add 1. And then for the angle, I'll use my handy dandy Mts Modeling Helper. All right, for this vehicle, bull bar refers to a push bar that guards the entire front, including the headlights. Ah, I was wondering what the difference was. Zuzi Uzi helping us with the fun facts there. Will we see a 750 version? I was considering doing a 750 version of the police and then 650 for the taxi, but the 750 seems a little too deluxe to be a police vehicle, so I'm probably just gonna stick with a 650 for now. And then if it were feasible, I'd like to see crash damage added to MTS. It is possible. It's not really feasible, but it is possible, and it is something that I have been considering. So real quick behind the scenes here, shape box angle. So we got that, and now that is the angle of the shape box. Look at that, fast maths. Although I need to angle it here, so I need to subtract what I just calculated from 90. 90 minus that 73 something. Perfect. Almost. Now I just have to get it to show up. There we go. All right. Now, of course, we do have some areas where the texture peeks out. I think I don't really want to make it smaller because the letters will be considerably smaller. So here, if I turn this into a shape box, then open Desmos, I'll show off another little secret. I got all kinds of secrets over here in Desmos. This isn't even funny. What was it? Empty shapebox scaler. Where is that? Displacement shapebox scaler right here. So this is a fun one. So I could take this shapebox. It's 7 by 23. So I take the 7 and then 23. And then right here, I put how big I want it to be. So I want, so this is 7 by 23, but I want to turn that 7 into a 5, and then it spits out how much I need to shape box it. So I'll grab that, and then I'll pull this Desmos thing back up. So it's -1, and then minus this. So -1, and as you can see, it squishes it. I'll get this Desmos back out of here. So it squishes it, so it's not right. And so then when I take that calculated value, I have to change that to a comma. Oh, come on. Change it to a comma. Type it in manually. 2857. And then boom. And it's scaled proportionally. I think I'm going to have to live with that. As much as I don't like it, I think I'm going to have to live with that just because otherwise the letter will hang over the edge, and I think I'll hate that more. All right. Keep an eye on chat here. Hoping for a feature. Probably not likely. It would be complicated to do damage. If crash damage would be added, could it be fixed? Yes. If I decide to implement any kind of crash damage, it will be repairable. Desmos is used by my math teacher. Desmos is a very solid math tool. It's a great online calculator. And yeah. I feel like there was something else that I might have missed. Oh, considering I'm really that old. Okay, cool. So we got that taken care of. So I'll bring this down here and bring it in. So it's 921. Boom. Precinct number. What's the coordinate for the door? 27, 13, 20. 27, 13, 20. Offset that a little bit. Look at that. It fits so nicely. All right. 27, 13, 20. 27, 20, 13. And then have to bring that forward one and then down like that. All right. Now there was some big brain stuff going on with the police little sign on the Baron because it has some interesting geometry there, but not needed here. So parts, delete offset. All right. I don't really like how this is. Oh, okay. Yeah. We're going to put this right here like that. Negative 14. Perfect. And then I'll put this right over the front wheel well. So we'll do that. Minus 2.5. And minus 14. Then what are the coordinates of this one? It's 66, 10, 21. Negative 10.5, 21, and 66. Perfect. It's starting to look like a police car. All right. That dip down where the rear door handle is really not okay with me. Are you talking about this portion right here? Because that is a design quirk from the actual car, and I actually do like it. I think it looks pretty nice. So I think it gives it some character beyond just having a straight line. And it works really nicely with the 56, or sorry, the 57, because it has a more prominent tail fin. But I like it because it makes it seem like it kind of comes back, and then you have another tail fin piece coming out here. So, and it works well with the trim. So, all right, then we have the number here, and I'm actually gonna bring the number back up over here, so it kind of mimics the actual car number from this little example right here. Although I do also have the UNU ID badge there, so it is a little cramped, but I think it works. And this is a text slot, of course. Alright, so the hood is 55.0, 55.12. Not 120. Alright. It's all rotated, so it makes it hard to move it. Alright. So this is going to need some modification. Oh, wait, actually, no, okay. That's flat, so I'm not going to bend the edges over. I'll just scooch it back a little more. Yeah, there's not really a good other place to put it. It would be cool to put it along the front, but I can't really swing that. So I think I'll just leave it. I kind of hate that spot. I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that. This one will be a little easier because it's straight lines. Negative 3, 12. Negative 3 and negative 12. Okay. So I have to unscrewy this. Yes, on the coupe model, this little indent is here as well. 1956 Chevy body styles. I'll show you the clip art, or not the clip art, but this is what I used to figure out all the different trim I'll find it eventually. Okay. Open image in new tab. So this is a terrible image. Where's the actual website that this is on? Okay, there we go. No, jeez. Okay, well, this is going to be a little hard to see, but that indent, that little divot, was there across all models for the Tri-5, so 55, 56, and 57. Um, so yeah, it's just a little design quirk. Ah, here we go. This might be open image in new tab. Okay, not the preview, but the actual full-sized image. What the heck? This is like a high-res thing, but I can't find the picture. Now I'm committed to this tangent. Alright, well, always Pinterest, man. I don't even know how Pinterest works. Anyway, yeah, it's a common feature across the Tri-5s, all the body styles, with the exception of the station wagon. And the station wagons had a straight line to kind of go with the straight roof. Alright. Oh, okay. So, you're asking if that divot is where the coupe would go down. No, the coupe roofline is pretty similar to the roofline on the sedan. I think it may slope down a little more. On the UNUs, it's pretty much the same. The only roofline that is significantly different is the four-door hardtops, where they had a pillar that kind of came down here at an angle to give it more strength because you have the window comes all the way back for the hardtops, where there's the pillowless hardtops don't have this little triangle here. So fun facts. Fun facts. All right. I think I can actually just remove all that. Oh, and I did do that for sure. All right. All right, negative 12, 3. Now let's see how wide this is. It's 28. So that means I'd come in 14. And then it's minus 4. Cool. Excellent. Okay, and that fits in there perfectly. So the BT, does it stand for Blacktown Police Department? Uh, that's actually a really good one. I actually do like that. That's a good like generic police department. But no, BTPD in this instance is for the Blackthorne Police Department because Blackthorne is the fictional nation where UNU is based. Yeah, I don't like the police being right there, but I can't really fix it. Because this is at an angle, I can't really angle it at all. At least not with Toolbox, and I don't want to figure out how to do it in Blender. So yeah, I think it's just gonna kind of stick there. Because it doesn't really look right all the way up there. So yeah, I think I'll just sort of stick it there and call that good. So Blackthorne doesn't just have one police department. Towns would have their own police departments. Um, but I don't know. It's kind of, you can make of it what you will. You could also consider that, like, Blackthorne is a nationalist place, so maybe it's all Blackthorne Police Department, even though it's for different towns, just because you have one, like, central authority running everything. All right, so I think this is the police car. And it looks like all the colors line up with the Baron police car. So that's nice in terms of like the police logos and whatnot. So that's cool. So I'm going to export as texture file. And then I'll bring it in here. Base sedan. And then this is something I like to do to clean up the textures. So I export as texture file template. And this shows what every single block or what every single part actually is. So for example, and you'll see it go to this. And so what this does is this makes it so that any spot on the texture sheet actually corresponds to an actual like model object. So remember how I had these and then I repositioned them because there was an error? Well, that old texture is still there on the texture sheet, but it's no longer being used. And so this is kind of how I crop out all the unused space. So I just go this, transparency select there, and then hit delete, and then re-export. And now there's no wasted space. I don't think it doesn't really do anything other than satisfy my OCD, but hey. So now we've got a police model. But yeah. There's that. An hour in, and we got the texture done. So I am going to now make the alternate texture. And so to do that, I'm going to select all the orange and then make it purple. Make it purple, file, export as police 2. Excuse me. Go ahead and save this, and then I have to rename this to police 1. Alright, file, import, texture from file, police 2. This one's going to be pretty straightforward and quick, because it's just going to be these two doors. The typical black and white. And hey, maybe some people will be happy that they finally get a old school black and white, rather than the funky designs that I do. Alright. Well, see you later, Fredbear1983. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I hope you enjoy quality UNU products. Alright, do. Okay, look at that. Just a nice black and white. Oh, and I'll give it a white roof too, because that actually seems to be something that was done too. Alright, I think that's everything. Alright, so then go ahead and export this as the second police texture. And then I have to modify some of the police text. Because first of all, some of it isn't even the right purple. Alright, so export that. Okay. Oh, come on. Just select the color. Alright. Alright, so now this should make everything orange. And then the precinct needs to be white. And the BTPD needs to be white. Then everything else can be orange. Perfect. And now we got our second texture. And then I'll have to make sure to change the first texture back because I pasted in this police here. And this uses the wrong color of purple, which doesn't seem like that big of an issue, but it is when you got the whole template texture going on. Cool. Alright, so we have our model. Now to make life easier on myself, I'm going to take all of this special police stuff and I'm just going to make a new model out of that. Or I'm just going to export that to Blender rather than the whole police thing, because aside from this special stuff, the police model is the same. I'm actually not going to copy those because those are just text slot holders. Actually, I think I'll put another text slot up here. That's actually going to be kind of easier said than done. Okay. So I want it right here. So again, I'm going to go to Blender and Cheat for the coordinates. Oh, I don't think this is a flat surface. Yeah, it's not quite flat. Yeah, I don't think I'll do that. I think the normal position is fine. Alright, so take all this special police stuff that I added. That's actually going to be on the final vehicle. And the reason I specify that is the light bar doesn't have to come because that's a part. So that's actually not going to be on the final vehicle. That's just here for things like the model thumbnails and whatnot. However, the spotlight will be. At least for now, because that's not its own part yet. Then the gun. I made it its own part, so it's a little easier to deal with. Alright. Alright, is the left door inner part without the orange line? Is the left door inner part without the orange line? So yeah, the inside, it's going to be purple to match the base. Oh, yeah, this right here. The right door is missing the orange. Aha. See, it's a good thing to catch now, because it's a pain in the butt to fix later. Alright, make sure I didn't miss any other pieces. Alright, I think that's good. File. Oh wait, this is part of the door, isn't it? This is part. No, this is not part of the door. I always forget if that's part of the door or not. This is part of the door. I gotta make sure to paint that orange too. Because, yeah, the door is this stuff right here. And then this opens, and then that part stays because that's what holds the windshield in. So, yes, this is part of the door, so I gotta make sure you get that too. I didn't miss it on the other one because this is part of the paint scheme. File, export, texture file. There we go. Live map for TEOM. We had a live map for the end of Minecraft for a while using Dynamap, but it didn't get too much use. It was really intensive on the server, caused a lot of lag, and so because of that, I kind of discontinued it because people complain about lag enough as it is. All right, I think that's everything that makes the police car the police car. I just gotta get rid of this because that's already there. Okay, let's make sure. Those are text slots. That's text slots. Part. Yep, I think that's everything. All right. Zuzi Uzi asks what they missed while they fell asleep. Not much. I'm just separating this out and getting ready for exporting it. So we'll go ahead and edit, select all parts, all visible parts. Edit, reverse selection, parts, make all parts visible. Save, delete. So this is everything that makes the police car the police car. So I'm going to export this as 650 police. And then make sure not to save because I don't want to save the deleted stuff. Alright, so this is the base 650. Now as you can see, I already have a lot of the stuff separated out. The doors, the windows, suspension components, the hood, fender skirts, and things like that. So I don't want to have to do all that over again for a car that's 99% the same. So all I do is I take the current existing base model, and then I actually do have to grab one extra thing. I have to grab these, because those changed as well. Edit, reverse selection, delete, and export 650 light. What is that? Eyebrow? Fix. Alright, do not save that. And so then I have to delete those two, those 4 pieces from here as well. So I modified them. So that one tiny part of the police vehicle is going to be different. Alright, so now we've got the base model here. It's time to import all that new stuff. Wavefront, temp obj. Alright, delete and delete the MTLs because that'll mess stuff up. Rotate 90. So now we have those pieces that we changed. Combine it with the body. File, import obj, and police. Now this is a little more complicated because not all of this just goes onto the body. So I'm going to go ahead and join it all together. And we can start separating it out. Okay. So first I'm going to go ahead and grab all the body stuff because that's the easiest. The antenna here. The spotlight. That. And then the CB radio. So this is all stuff that goes on the body. And so I'll separate this, and then I'll combine it with the body. After moving it down, of course. So move it down, and then combine it with the body. So now it's all part of the chassis here. to make things a little easier to see. Well, actually not yet. Okay, so now I have to separate the stuff that is part of the door. So this is a door. This is a door. This is a door. Oh, jeez. Getting pinged on the old discords. That's a door. And that's a door. Okay, so all this can be moved down. -2, and then combined with each door. So that's combined there. Well, actually, this is not. That's an upcoming feature that I'm going to explain. So that's there. That's there. That's there. Now you might be thinking, hey, isn't that part of the body? And that is where you'd be wrong. This is part of, eventually, if I move it down, part of the dashboard. And that is another upcoming feature. So let me check this ping really quick. And that's Dom Bruce. What's Dom Bruce want? Okay, MTS stuff. All right. So one of the upcoming features, and I'm going to be, you know what? I'm going to use this live stream as a sneak peek. Once we get this vehicle in game, I'll show you one of the biggest features that's coming to UNU. It involves pretty much everything that I'm going to be talking about in terms of upcoming features. So you're going to want to stay tuned to the end if you want an exclusive sneak peek. So one of the features for UNU is you'll be able to make any UNU car, any UNU vehicle with the exception of military vehicles, the UNU Mastodon and Selenodon, and the UNU Labrador base, like the base one, not the male version. All other cars, you'll be able to make them right-hand drive. And so part of that is having two dashboards that are mirror images of each other. And so this gun and walkie here are going to be part of those mirrored dashboards. And because of that, I actually have to separate them out. And so here we've got, so if I scroll up here, we see we've got dashboard, right-hand drive. So if I turn this off, you can see we got the instrument cluster over here, the UNU logo over here. But if with the right-hand drive dashboard, the instrument cluster's over here. And so that is part of the whole, switching the things. And so to do that, I'm going to have to duplicate these because we don't want the gun right next to the steering wheel and we don't want the CB radio on the other side of the car. So I'll take this gun and its X coordinate is here, which doesn't seem right. There we go. And then I'll move it over here 2 times that. So now it's on the other side. And then I'll do the same thing here. So I'm going to take this, slide it on over to -2 times that. All right, and so now this is the left-hand drive dashboard, and then this is the right-hand drive. So here we got the left-hand drive dashboard and the right-hand drive dashboard. So that is a very cool upcoming feature that I'm pretty excited about. And then the other upcoming feature that's pretty darn cool, if I do say so myself, involves these logos. So I'm going to delete the back face just for consistency. All right. And then I'll do the same thing on this other one. And there we go. So if I take this door, this logo little area here is going to be its own separate piece. Logo default. So this is the default logo. And then this is for the left side door. All right, so we've got these logos here that are the default logo. It's the one that's part of the texture sheet. If you decide to make your own texture versions, because that is something that is uh, available, as there is the UNU template pack, which will be updated alongside everything else. You can make your own textures. You can make your own police vehicles with your own logos. But what if you like the paint job and you just want an easy way to put your own custom logo on? Well, that is where this new feature comes in. So if I duplicate this, you will be able to, in any UNU vehicle that uses a door logo, which are all the police vehicles, all of the fire department vehicles, the ambulance, all pickup trucks. So if you want to start can take a URL and you can put it on the door. So, for example, I think I have UNU version 5 screenshot here. It shows an example of that. And so that's this right here. So for the UNU Mastodon, you can see that it's got the classic, county logo on it. But you can easily put your own logo, which this one is a Reddit police logo. But you can put your own police department logos on any UNU police department vehicle, and it'll fit right in. The old logo will go away, and your custom logo will show up instead. So it's a pretty cool little customization that you can do. So yeah, that works on any vehicle that uses logos, which is going to include all pickup trucks. So you can have like a custom company logo, which is pretty cool. All right. So yeah, and then in order to do this URL logo, I have to do one extra step, which is scaling it up. So let me snap to pixels, scale it up by 4. Boom. And then the other URL logo. Perfect. Okay, so there's one other thing that needs to be done, which is another small feature that's being added to the police vehicles, and it involves this little CB radio. So boom, boom, boom. Now I can't remember what I called those, so let's go ahead and I don't think I'm going to need this anymore, so I'll copy this over to here. UNU Civil Pack, Assets, JSON Defs, Vehicles, Cars, Emergency, and this CB Light Radio. That's what I called it. Here we go. Light Radio 1, Light Radio 2, and Light Radio 3. Excellent. Alright, so this police car is ready to be exported. So go ahead and File, Export as the UNU emergency vehicle, the UNU Civil Emergency Vehicle UNU 650 Base Sedan Police. I like to keep it short and sweet. Okay, and so then we have to generate the icon. So to do that, we actually need to make the skin first. So we'll go ahead and make the skin. So to make a skin for UNU, it's pretty straightforward. This is actually going to be a little tiny demo for making a skin out of the template pack as well. So there's that. So as we saw on here, I used the template texture, and the different parts of the template texture correspond to different parts of the vehicle texture. And it looks like there is one little thing I missed, and that is that these seats have to be a different color. So file, import texture from file. There we go. The seats have to be this blue color. So I almost forgot that, and that would have sucked. So I'll go ahead and do that to both of the police textures. So this isn't a tutorial yet. Okay, so quick little mini tutorial if you want to make your own custom UNU colors. And so here we have the template texture. Now, as you can tell on the vehicle, especially this is easy to do when you place it in game as well, is the different colors of the template texture respond to different parts of the car, or correspond to different parts of the car. And so the paint will typically be purple and orange, and so that's this obvious, two-tone here on the paint. Sometimes there will also be a green that's used on the mastodons for honestly some reason. I think I got most of the green ones out, and green is usually also used as a tertiary color. So the primary color is going to be the purple, the secondary color is going to be the orange, and if there's a tertiary color, it will be green. Then the interior color is this blue, and so this is things like the steering wheel, the seats, the dashboard, stuff like that. Now this is, I typically do a quote-unquote cloth texture, which you'll see there, and then yellow is the carpet, and then pink is the headliner. And so those are the primary colors that are pretty universal across UNU. Now some vehicles don't have headliner or carpet because they're cheap, but these ones do. So we'll go ahead and use this color guide to get started on this. So I've got a folder here for modeling and materials, and these are all the materials I use. Some template textures will include a bluish color that I use for wood, but this one it does not. So we've got the headliner, and then we'll go ahead and get the saddle cloth, which is for the seats and interior. And then the carpet on the police cars is going to be Ford. The black carpet there, and that covers the quote-unquote like set colors basically. And so I'm using Gimp. Gimp is free, so I suggest using that. That's easy to do with colors. And so all I do is select everything but the pink, and then I delete the headliner, and so now we've got the headliner just where the pink was. Select everything but the yellow, and now I've got the carpet where the yellow was. And then select everything but the blue, make that for the saddle, and now I've got that. Now, I actually don't think that's what I want to do. So I'm going to do this a little different here. Select, invert, saddle. All right, so I want the seats to be saddle, but I don't want the rest of the interior to be saddle. I want the rest of the interior to be manila. So we'll see how well this works. Add alpha channel. All right, so I'm gonna I'll go ahead and do the paint too. So then we got the Ford and the ivory paint. And so I want this to be black with white accents. So I'll select this, and there's the black, and there's the white. And then to filter everything, I just add a noise filter on everything else. And that is it. And that's the police. Now I'm going to check to make sure that the interior is how I want it. And it is. Cool. So yeah, the seats, I have a different color than the rest of the interior, just because that's kind of how I prefer it on here. Oh, and it looks like, for some reason, the black didn't, or the white didn't pick up on the police here. So I'm going to have to undo the noise. Why didn't that pick up? That's weird. Okay. Now there is one other sort of touch-up thing that I do for the police logo. And here we can see that the police logo is on a black background. So in order for the police logo to turn out clearly, what I have to do is I take the police logo, which is, I have a overlay, so I also have a bunch of overlays for different stuff. Where's the police logo? Overlay. There it is. So to make this, so you can see here that the edges of the police logo have this sort of feathering to them. What is up? Where's this black coming from? Okay, there we go. It's from the carpet there. So as you'd see, there's this sort of feathering that's on the outside. Now this looks good here, but in Minecraft, it won't render this transparency with the black door behind it. And so because of that, it will look kind of choppy. So what I do is I take, basically, it's a second pass. So I take the Ford paint, I put it behind here, and then I select all around. And so as you can see, the transparency here is not selected currently. And then I delete the Ford. And so now we have this sort of mask behind the police logo. And we can see that we have the black behind this transparency. And so then I can apply the noise again, and then I'll apply the noise here. Repeat. And then I'll redo the overlay for that as well. And then add the noise. Alright, so now if I export this, you can see, okay, so that, well, it's a little hard to see here. I'll just go ahead and do this. This is, so you can see here that now there's this feathering on the edge of the logo with the black behind it. So you won't be able to tell that there's this weird black outline on it. So you won't be able to tell there's this weird black outline because the background is black. But it will make the fading and the shading and the anti-aliasing and all those things look a little better. Okay, so go ahead and bring this back. Cool, so there's the first police texture done. And then to save time for the second texture, I'm just going to delete the paint, and I'll leave the interior, which is going to be identical, alone. So we'll bring in the second police thingy. Bring in the black and white paint. And then we'll do our, what is going on here? Oh, it's not lined up properly. Okay. Okay. We gotta make sure to put it over here. That way it fills the space. And then delete these. And then bring in the black and white. Now the reason that I bring in the black and white rather than sort of painting the black and white is these aren't just solid colors. It's a little hard to tell with just the black and white paint because they are, oh geez, that orange again. Okay. For some reason this orange is slightly different. And then the white background for this police logo. Add alpha, then the police, delete. And then filters, noise. File, export as police 2. So the reason that I have this whole set of colors instead of just, painting it in Toolbox or whatever is these colors aren't flat colors. When you zoom in, it's going to be really hard to see, especially over the stream. But you can zoom in and you'll see that the color slightly changes. The olive color demonstrates it the best in the ocean. And so you see how there's like slight differences in the color to kind of give it a more painted looking appearance, may give it a little more interest rather than just being flat, or rather than having this sandy noise, which this sort of sandy noise texture works great for things like the undercarriage and that kind of thing, but it doesn't look good on painted surfaces or whatever, things like that. And then the carpet and cloth have slightly different noise textures, so they're all slightly different materials. So let's go ahead and take a look at that second paint scheme, and it looks good. It's weird seeing like a normal police paint scheme on an UNU vehicle. Cool. So we'll go ahead and close that. So now we have our textures. Let's go ahead and do our renders. So if I go into here, modeling, and then where is it? Renders, modeling, thumbnails. Yes, and then go down to the 650. All right, so here we've got all the different 650 vehicles. And so because this is just a base sedan, we can just take the base sedan and then import that stuff that I added. So the 650 police, and then also import the fix. Go ahead and combine those, and then name it police. Okay. So now I can load my texture in, which is going to be this guy right here. Now you'll notice that those little eyebrow things are different. So I'm going to have to separate those. I don't want to delete them because, well, actually, I'll just duplicate this entire thing. And then make it the police. Well, I don't want to combine it yet. Okay, so go ahead and take this. This should be familiar because we did it for the base not too long ago. All right, so then we can go ahead and take this police stuff, rotate it -90. Oh, hold on. Okay. So first, I'm going to have to combine all this into one because it's all separated. Okay, so next I have to modify the scale. So I got to scale the police stuff up to match. And then I have to change the origin or the location. So rotate 90. like that. Boom, and now it should line up, and it does. And so now I could take this base coupe, combine it with the police, and now we have the police texture. Or at least, oh, and I have to add the materials. There we go. So now I have our police texture. Almost done, but I have to remove all this back-faced stuff that shouldn't be there. Otherwise, it will produce a texture bug. The nice part is because I recycled the base model, I don't have to do that for all the windows or the grill. Alright, recombine it. And now, we're ready to make our thumbnail. All that work for that. But it is important because it ensures consistency between all the different vehicle models. Image, save as image, vehicles, items, vehicles, right there. Open, boom, render, image, save as image. And then file, save. And so to kind of see a more high-res version, this is what it looks like with a higher resolution. So that's what we did. I just now realized I don't have the police light bar or bull bar on there. So I'm going to add that real quick. Forgot about that one. Hey, welcome to the stream, Laura. You're actually at a perfect time because you're missing all the boring parts that you've already seen. So this is stuff that I've done numerous times on stream. I don't think you need any help with texturing, but you will probably like to see the JSON portion, which we're coming up hot on. File, or edit, reverse selection, because that is where I go over some of the new features that you will probably want to take advantage of. For your own things, 650 police accessories. Don't care if that's spelled right. Alright, so file, and I'm going to bring this back down to 64 by 64. File, import, wavefront, temp obj, 650 police accessories. Alright, scale it up. Rotate, and recenter. Excuse me. Recombine. Well, I guess not recombine. Remove the material. There we go. Now it actually looks like a police car. Image, save as. Image, save as. Perfect. All right, so that's that. So now we have our texture, we have our icon. So now we can actually close that. We can throw the textures we made into here. Copy them on over. All right, so now it's time for the JSON. Yeah, I used to have high-res thumbnail textures, but people complained that it, Dom Bruce particularly, that it like took up a bunch of the texture sheet and stuff, so I went ahead and scaled it down to kind of mirror the rest of MTS. Okay, what am I doing? Oh, also, I should probably add this to the change log. Added UNU 650 police sedan. Police model. There's another sneak peek of all the features coming to UNU in the next couple days here. Okay, so JSON defs, vehicles, cars, a civilian, because I need to copy the base thing. 650 base sedan, I almost said Catan. All right, rename it. And here we go. Move this to the other view. Boom. Okay, so now is where we dive into JSONing. So first, I have to do this. Boom. Next, I have to take a look at the actual model to know what color everything is supposed to be. Okay. So we've got the primary text colors, and I don't actually remember what these all refer to. So we got the logo URL, and then the fleet number, and this is the inherited color index of 1. So the first color is going to correspond to the fleet number on the side of the vehicle. And so for this, for the second one, it has to be white, which it is. And then we have the third one is the fleet number on the roof, which is the color index 2, or sorry, precinct number on the side, which for this one it has to be black. Is there not a black? These look like they're blue. Alright, let me pull up the police sedan, the Baron sedan here. Parts, make all parts visible. The Baron. Okay, so it looks like none of the colors are black on the Baron. So I need to figure out what color I use for the black. I think the wagon has a black. Nope, no black on the wagon. The coupe. Yes, okay, it's just straight black. Okay. Cool. Okay, so the precinct number on the side is the second one, and on the second guy here, this needs to be black. Cool. And I'm just over here looking at the thing so I can do all that. All right. So then the third color index, and this is also like a little tutorial for how to make police color stuff. The third color index is the fleet number on the roof, which for this car should also be black. And then finally the police department abbreviation, which should also be black. So the color, the inherited color or the secondary text colors here can be defined via definitions. And so this is the same place where you would define color variants for vehicles, and also, which this has to be saddle, and also color variants for parts. So the color system for UNU is pretty straightforward. For the part tones, which determines what color your seats and wheels are going to be, the first color is the wheel color. Well, technically, it's also the body color. So for UNU, this is going to always mirror whatever the body color subtext is. So think your ivory, Ford, Apple, Aqua, things like that. And then the second one is the interior color, which more specifically for UNU refers to the seat color: saddle, manila, tungsten, the various seat colors. And then the third is the license plate. And so this is, of course, going to be Blackthorne, because all the vehicles use Blackthorne license plates. But if you have your own custom license plate that is a skin of one of the base UNU license plates, you can then use it as you can make it so that your own custom license plate is applied to the vehicle, which is pretty cool. All right, so now that's for the second type, because that's just what was loaded on here. So file, import, then the first one is here. So the first color, which is the fleet number, should be white, which it is. The precinct number should also be white, which it is. And then all the colors on the roof should be white as well. So as you see on this car, the text, the fleet text, which is going to be right there, the precinct text, which is going to be right there, and the number up top and the police department abbreviation are all going to be white, which is what they are. Cool. Now here we've got the description that says what items can be installed. And so I'm going to add 2 additional parts. We have the luggage, which is already on there, and then a siren, which is already on there, and then a push bar and a light bar. And the push bar will come pre-installed. And the light bar will as well. I don't know why that's not italicized, but whatever. Number windows, none of this stuff is going to change, except I'm going to add the push bar. Another little small feature coming to UNU is all the seats and wheels are now part of the OR dictionary. So you can see here we've got OR dictionary seat budget, which is pretty cool. So you don't have to have a specific color. And I kind of ignored chat, so let's see what's going on over there. Laura asks, if I sent you a texture I made for a vehicle of yours, could you send back an item icon that matches all of your others? Yes, if you send me a texture that you want to use in your pack, I'll do a quick render for you. It takes 2 seconds once I have the actual render file. And then, can you keep a changelog file too? Oh, okay, I keep a changelog file too, yeah. And then my graphics card is broken. Cool. All right. Nothing here needs to change. As you can see, we'd see more right-hand drive mode stuff. So it shifts the gauges around, which is cool. And then the only parts that need to be added, so this already has a siren, which is cool, because I have a siren slot so that you can install the siren. If you don't, let's say you just have the light bar where it's a little dome light in the middle, you still want the siren noise, so you can install it under the hood. So that's actually, I'm glad that I put that on here. Okay, light bar and bull bar. So I'll add those here. And then to figure out where they go, I use my handy dandy Mts Modeling Helper. So we got this right here. And I just enter the toolbox coordinates, which is 81.5, -5. There we go. And then I just paste that right in here. Don't have to think about anything. It automatically does all the stuff for me. But I'm allowed, that's fine because I made the darn thing. Okay. Another fine UNU product. And here we go. Cool. And then the collision, I need to add one for the CB radio. Other than that, it's identical. So that leads to another fun little UNU upcoming feature, is the CB radios will be functional. Now, they won't be functional as in you'll be able to walkie-talkie with other players. That's what Discord is for. But it will play police announcements over it. And so we'll kind of see that once we place it in-game. And I have a suspicion that that is inverted. All right. That's all we need for the collisions. Then we can just go on down to animated objects. I don't think there are any extra animated objects that I have to... Oh, yes, there are. I have to do the logos. Okay. But it's easy as matter as just copy pasting. So, Laura, since you're on here, I might as well share with you the logo method that I came up with. So you might want to scroll back later and watch the Blender part where I resized the logo stuff. But basically, there are 2 meshes. One is logo default, and the other is logo URL. They rotate with the doors. And then these are the visibility blocks that turn it on and off based on if text is present. So if the URL, if there's no URL in there, the default logo will show. if there is a URL that is put in there, or someone typed something in that text box, then the default logo will disappear and the URL logo will show up. So it's a cool little feature. Which reminds me, I need to do the text objects. Okay. So we'll go ahead and grab all these. Now the nice part is, with the exception of the resized BTPD on the roof, all of the text stuff is going to be the same. So we'll go ahead and do that next. And so here we've got the URL logo thing. Enable suspension. Ooh, what's that? So we've got the fleet number. So we'll go ahead and grab that. Put that into here. 53, -3, 21.1. 21.1. Go right there. Same thing there. Precinct number. It's going to rotate with the door, which just to make sure I named it the same. Yep. Okay, and then that is 18, -3, 21.1. Perfect. And then the fleet number up on the roof. 27.5, 25.10, 0. And then the only special case is this one right here. All right. What time? Oh, okay. Trying to get the bucket truck texture to match your orange. So if you want an orange bucket truck, I'll give you my orange. I'll just add an orange bucket truck. Well, nah, I'll give you the orange texture file if you want. 10.5, -23.35, and 0. So this will get it in the right spot, but I have to angle it properly too. So it should just be a matter of this guy right here going right here, but we'll see. Okay. Animated. I do have to add the lights. Oh, and that's right. Okay, so there is a few light stuff. There's a few light things I have to do. I'll have to make sure to add emergency lights as well to the custom variables. I almost forgot to do that too, man. And I call myself a professional. Okay. So next up is the light objects. So then we got to take the lights for the radio. Boom, right there. And then I have to copy the emergency light stuff, which thankfully is pretty much the same. Light emergency left. Alright. I always forget how I do the emergency stuff because I don't do that. How does one enable their suspension? That is the best part about the UNU update that I will show off once I get this vehicle in game. But it starts off enabled, but we'll say that. UNU emergency vehicle Baron sedan. So I'm at the Mimic. Not the Baron sedan, the Rabbit, because this only has a single headlight. Well, we'll mimic the Corsair. Nope, I'm gonna have to mimic the Contractor, because I need a vehicle that has only one headlight, so not dual lights, and then one tail light, no separate turn signal, and that is the Contractor. Alright, so I've got the second emergency light, so we're going to have to duplicate these two things and bring them up a little bit. Oh, do I need to duplicate that? No, I do not. I don't have to duplicate this, just the front ones. Alright, so we've got light emergency right, which is this guy right here. What the heck? Okay. Light emergency right, and then light emergency left. So that has to be done as well. So file, export as the UNU 650 base sedan. Alright. How does this happen? They're now in your staff room. Try to get the bucket truck texture to match your orange. Man, I'm having a good day. I think I might have to enable my suspension. Alright. So we got that taken care of. Okay, so for the lights, I'm going to need to pull on this. Light, turn left back. The nice part about the light stuff is I can just copy my entire JSON sections for the animations for the emergency lights. And then light turn right back. Light turn right back. This is a big part about, this is why I keep things so consistent with UNU, is doing the emergency lights takes 5 seconds instead of a bunch of time. Of course, it takes a little time for me to do the meshes in Blender, but doing the emergency light stuff like this, where it has these complicated animations, is instantaneous because it's all consistent. And then I just have to copy these things. So that the blendable components are the same. Although I don't have a beam on the emergency lights. And then up here, I have to do the animations for the emergency lights. It's all the way down here. Which is this right here. Alright, so that should be the lights taken care of. Got the emergency lights and got the CB radio lights. But in order for the CB radio to function, I need to pull in my variable modifiers, which... Oh, and I'm getting a phone call. Let me just make sure it's not a spam number. It's I'm going to call that a spam number and ignore it. If you're not on my phone, leave a message. Okay. Got no new sounds for the police version. That's all done through the siren. So now, oh, there are new sounds, and I'm looking at them right here. So we got the rain, and then what the heck is going on here? Oh, okay. This is turning it on and off. Cool. So, we do have some sounds to do. That is this right here. So, let's see where's chat going? Cool. Road maintenance, cool. So, to answer some questions Laura's asking in chat, I'll give you the orange that I use for UNU, but if you want an orange UNU paint bucket, you can add that too, via the skin system in MTS. You can add whatever paint buckets you want. So, you can do that all separately as well. Because right now, for the industrial paints, for things like, the plain colors, I don't have paint buckets for them. I just use the Minecraft dye. but if you want to add paint buckets, you totally can. All right, so we've got these sounds, and so Laura might be interested in this. So the way the sounds work is I use a variable modifier. I use a couple variable modifiers. And so one is CB radio. That's just an on-off variable that toggles whether or not the radio is turned on or off. But there's also radio output, which you'll see that each CB sound is a different sound file. Now the reason I do this is so that you're not listening to one big long string of sound, because one, I think that'll take up a sound slot the entire time it's playing. And two, if you leave and then come back, that sound will start back from the beginning, right? So you'll always hear like the beginning part over and over again. You'll eventually remember it. Instead, I have this CB radio output, which basically it turns on and off. So it turns on for 10 ticks, off for 10 ticks, or something like that. It turns on and off, back and forth. I think it's 5 seconds on, 5 seconds off. And each time it turns on, it doesn't just go from back and forth between 1 and 0. It goes back and forth between a number and 0. And so it'll turn on, and it'll be 1, and then it'll turn off. And then it'll be 2, and then turn off. And then it'll be 3, and then turn off. And the way I do that are with some variable modifiers down here. So if I go ahead and get down to variable modifiers, because that way the counter will stay in its position when you exit the game or leave the chunk or whatever, and when you come back, it'll pick up where it left off, so you hear the different sounds all evenly. And so there's 20 different sounds, and so it'll play through all of them and then loop. But if you're like leaving the game and restarting it, you'll always hear the beginning of that loop if it's all just one continuous file. Plus, it takes up a sound slot the entire time. Instead, it keeps a consistent counter. And so that's this right here. And that, would be these two right here. And so we have the CB counter, which will cycle here. And what it does is it will then inhibit. So here, it turns on and off with this inhibitor. And then as it turns on, it'll only be on for 2 ticks. And while it's doing it, it's adding 1. This should be 1 tick, but for some reason, if you just turn it on for 1 tick, MTS doesn't do the math, so it's 2 ticks. And so here we can see once for every 200 seconds, it'll turn on and count up by 1. And so the counter will go 1, 2, 3 on this cycle. And then if it exceeds these limits, which means if it goes over 19, it will then be 20. And then if it goes to 21, I set it back to 1. So that's how I do the loop. And then this output is very simple. Is I translate it, I set it to whatever the radio counter is, and so this radio count will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 through 20, and it first sets the output to whatever the counter is, then it will multiply it by the translation here, which will be either a 0 or a 1. It'll be 0 when it's off, it'll be 1 when it's off. So by here, it'll be cycling between whatever the number is, multiplied by 0 or 1, multiplied by whether the CB radio is on or off. And so if the cycle is on and the CB radio is on, it will set the output to whatever the number is. And then once the cycle is over, it'll set it to 0, then it'll set it to the next number, set it to 0, set it to the next number, etc. But if the radio is off, it'll just multiply it by 0 all the time. This also means that as time progresses, this output number, or this counter rather, is continuously incrementing. So if you turn the radio off, it'll still increment, and so when you turn it back on, it'll start at a somewhat random place. So it won't just start at 1 every time you turn the radio on, which is a cool little tech tip there. And yeah. And then so Uzi says that the bet modifiers are hella cool. Yes, they are hella cool. They are extremely cool because this is just one small thing that I do with them. I also use variable modifiers for all this fun stuff that involves the main thing that's being added to UNU, which is how you enable steering and right-hand drive and all that, or suspension. But then you can also do math, variable modifiers are intense, and they're still very underutilized. So yeah, basically what variable modifiers allow me to do is I have all of these crazy suspension components down here. So I have these A-arms and springs and steering parts and linkage, all these different suspension components. But what I do is I have this variable called wheel left front, right? And this tells, I use wheel left front to tell the wheel what to do. And so I basically tell it to go up or down. And then because it's a variable modifier, I can make it whatever values I want. And then I could tell all of these to animate just based on what this wheel is doing. So when wheel right front is 1, that just says move the wheel up 1 pixel. And then I could define how all this has to move in order to make it happen. That way I can have all the complicated movement animation right here in this one section rather than in every single suspension component. Because before variable modifiers, these animations would have to be in every single suspension component, leaf spring, control arm, everything. And then you have to multiply it all to make it work right, and it's a complete complicated mess. Whereas now, I can just do all the complicated math in one spot. So for example, here, these are the animations for controlling a single suspension component. This is to control a single like wheel worth of suspension. So you have the lower control arm, the upper control arm, the lower shock, the upper shock, the coil spring. And as you can see, this is pretty complicated. There's a lot going on here, especially with the coil spring, because that's a whole ballgame in and of itself. But you'll see that it's all wheel left front, with the exception of this one constant variable. Wheel left front, wheel left front. But before variable modifiers, all of this would have to be in each individual slot, multiplied with each of these numbers. It would be a headache. It'd be a headache. Just to leave it at that. But this allows me to make suspension a reality because I can have complicated math without having complicated animations. I can separate everything. And also the UNU is best is a constant variable. So I needed to make a constant variable, and at first I had always on, but I thought UNU is best would be a nice little Easter egg. UNU is best always equals true. All right, so with that, I believe that is everything. And I've got another ping in the IR Discord, so I'm just going to ignore it. If you ping me in the IR Discord, I usually just ignore it. So we go over here to mods, open up the civilian pack. Yeah, I can go on about variable modifiers all day, honestly. That's how I did the mule. So the mule is going to have a bed where you can fold up the seats and put in cargo, or fold the seats down and seat soldiers and stuff. So, and that's a very complicated, it's a simple variable modifier, but it's something that would be extremely complicated to do with, if not impossible, without variable modifiers. So, variable modifiers are a godsend, and unfortunately, a lot of people only use them literally to modify variables, like existing variables, and they don't even realize that it's basically a function, which is extremely powerful when you didn't have that ability before. All right, Zizzy Izzy's heading off. See you later. Have you ever considered making a Blender rig of your suspension systems or some kind of rendered animation scene for my vehicles? I have considered rigging my vehicles for use as an animation. And that's something I still kind of want to do, but it's something that I've done. I did it once. I have a rig. Let's see, media, videos, animations, rigs, vehicles, UNU wagon. So I actually did rig up a vehicle once. And so that's this right here. So, for example, Let me go into pose mode. So for example, if I rotate this, the wheels actually turn, and then I can open and close the doors, and it's all limited, so there's clamps on everything. This is even when I was considering suspension, so you can move the suspension a little bit. Yeah, so yeah, so there's all kinds of stuff you can do. Uh, I've done it before. It's just you can tell how long it's been. You look at the rabbit model. But it's something that takes a lot of work, and I don't really see much of a payoff for it. I've had people ask me for rigs before to make animations, and I have made them in the past, and every single time it never happens. So, and welcome Timothy Banks, aka Nightingale, to the stream. I hope. It's too bad Zuzi had to go because it's their bedtime right now. Because I'm about to reveal some of the new stuff that's coming to UNU. But hopefully they'll watch the stream later. So up until now, I was actually working this, updating all the guns and stuff. The firing animations are also buggy because it shoots too fast for the proper animations to work out. Then, yeah, these are the new UNU mules with the fold down seats and everything, so you can actually sit in them or fold them up and put cargo down, and it properly blocks the seat, so I can't click in the seat anymore. And then if I take a crate, I could put some crates down, and then I can no longer fold down the seat. So, and in the background there, we're hearing. I should make sure I have the sound on. That you can hear on my. All right, I'm gonna have to crank up my desktop audio so you can hear everything. Okay. And then we turn down. So, yeah, I should be able to hear an engine somewhere. All right, cool. And you can actually hear some of the sound effects that I was talking about earlier. So let's go ahead and see if it worked. First try. Let's see, and it looks like it did. So I'm actually going to place down this one. Cool. Nice. First try. So far. And so there we can see the CB radio working. And so here we can see the light scanning. And I just realized I have my speakers on. But yeah, you can see it scans, and then when it finds a message. And yeah, so that's a cool little Easter egg going on. And then of course you can right click it to turn it on and off. And it makes a little squawking sound. Now, there is a slight issue where if you turn it off during a transmission, it'll continue playing the sound. And then if you turn it off, the sounds will all layer. So that is an issue. That's just a quirk of MTS's sound system. You can also hear the radio coming from another cop car. And then there we can see the custom URL stuff at work. So I'm going to turn this off so that, there we go. Okay, so here we've got the police car, and the police right there, it does look a little funky, but it's not too bad. And overall, it looks all right. I think I might have to, oh wait, no, never mind. Cool. And I will be making it so that all of these hitboxes, you can right click them to open it. It looks like that is wrong. I think all of my text is going to be wrong because I think I didn't. I forget that it's like centered at the top, not the middle. So I think all my text is going to be broken. So logo fleet number, we'll call it 44, then precinct 76, and yeah, all of my numbers are off because I lined it up to the middle, not to the top. So I'll have to fix that, but other than that, the colors seem fine. So let's go ahead and check the other skin. And again, the colors seem good. Cool. So now it's time for some of the sneak peek stuff that I was talking about, as a reward to those of you who watched until the end. So we've seen the radio. So we now know that the CB radio is a thing. It's really cool. But that is far from the only thing that is being added to UNU. It's a little thing I like to call the Turbo Encabulator. Now it's going to be renamed to the Configurator, but this is the thing that is going to set UNU is going to set UNU apart from every other pack. There are other packs out there, and some of them have suspension, and some of them are customization focused, and every pack is valuable, but that doesn't mean one can't be the most valuable. So we'll go ahead and take a look here. We can see we got this beautiful animated suspension. The springs constrict and contract, and the suspension is fully animated, and it's absolutely beautiful. Look at that. I mean, just take a moment to appreciate how beautiful that is. Like, that it animates perfectly. I mean, I made this darn thing, and I'm still impressed by it. And you see, like, if you go off the edge, the wheel extends and everything. It's animated perfectly. I did the math. Like, this is perfect. There are slight issues. Whoa, and I go into the abyss. Turn off the radio, and then I'll just leave this here. So there are slight animation bugs, I guess you could say, primarily with the leaf springs. Sorry, not the leaf springs. With this spring, you can see how it slightly animates a little off, but like overall, you can't deny this is impressive. Oh, come on. Nice. Nice. I mean, just look at that. I mean, I'm totally stuck now, but like, it's just so cool. Like, I'm sorry. I know this is going to seem super braggy, but I mean, it's just so cool. Like, it animates perfectly. And I'm really proud of that. It was a lot of work. It's a lot of complicated math that, I mean, aside from possibly Don Bruce, I don't think any other content creator is even capable of. So yeah, it's freaking awesome. But that's not even the coolest part. Let me go ahead and put the parking brake on. The UNU Encabulator is something that is going to set UNU apart, because other people have suspension. It's not as cool as mine. It's not as perfect as mine, but other people have suspension. I have been playing with suspension for 3 years for UNU. The first time I did it is on this channel. That's why I'm releasing the pack on the 26th. The update is it's like a 3-year milestone of when I first messed with suspension. But I always said I'm only going to implement suspension when it's perfect. And now it is. You can see that it leans when you turn, but then if you go slow, it doesn't lean that much. And then the faster you go, the more it leans. And then you can stop. It's kind of hard to see on cars with not good acceleration, but the wheels slightly pitch back and forth when you accelerate and stop, and that's based on how fast the vehicle is moving. And then, of course, when you travel over bumps, the wheels animate as well. And with variable modifiers, I can do this perfectly, and which is why I've waited until now to do it. I don't do jank in UNU, and so with the very long preamble for this turbo encabulator, we'll just go ahead and do it. And I'll turn on the headlights so you can actually see the lights. This is the UNU configurator. This is the biggest thing that's going to be added to the new pack, and this can be applied to every single vehicle on UNU, in UNU. And what this allows you to do is customize your car. So, for example, if I click right-hand drive, now the car is right-hand drive. It's as simple as that. I mean, you click right-hand drive, and it goes to right-hand drive. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then, of course, if you remove the turbo encabulator, it saves the configuration. What's cool is it saves it in its own little file. So if you have another car, oh, nope, stop. Okay, well that's just going off and doing its thing. So if let me grab another quality UNU vehicle, not whatever the heck that is. No, not that. We'll grab one out of the template pack, sure. And we'll grab, well, not a 650 because that won't make the point. We'll grab a Mastodon. Well, that's also a bad example because the Mastodon doesn't have right-hand drive because UNU didn't care about right-hand drive at that point. The Rabbit. So as you can see, we, if you remember, we set this car to right-hand drive and then took the encabulator off. And so if we place it, it saves everything we did and will automatically make the next car you place it on right-hand drive. And then you can, of course, toggle it on and off. So it basically saves your profile on the encabulator item and saves it on the car, of course. So that'll be a nice way to copy and paste a bunch of settings. But you can do more than just right-hand drive. Sport mode doesn't do anything yet, and it might not by the time it releases. Sport mode, there are some packs that have a lot of downforce so the cars corner really well. Obviously my pack is, I'm going to turn off the radio here, I think that is distracting. Of course my pack is, these are all frumpy 50s cars, they drive like ass, but if you want to make it so they can compete with modern cars, sport mode will be able to do that. So kind of balance things out. Gentle steering is a little buggy. There's some behind the scenes quirks that kind of mess with it. But gentle steering, what that does is the faster you go, the less your car will steer. That way you have finer control when you're driving like on a freeway or something. Of course, it starts off turned off, but if you want to turn it on, you can. And the faster you go, the less your car will steer. So it's, you know, it's more for like if you're driving down a freeway or something and you don't want to turn and crash into a wall. And then these are all different pages of settings. These last two pages don't do anything yet. And so here we can see we have some settings related to suspension. So you could turn on and off animated suspension. So let's say that for you the animated suspension isn't working well or you don't like it, you can turn it off. And then, so now with the animated suspension turned off, you can see it no longer has body roll, and then when I drive over cracks, it doesn't do the little wheel animation or anything anymore. So, and then if I turn animated suspension back on, you'll see that once again it does have body roll, and once again the wheels do animate over cracks. So that's sort of a setting that you can turn off if you want like the old school MTS stuff. But then there's also stiffness. So you can change the roll and pitch stiffness to determine how much your body, the car rolls and whatnot. So if you turn stiffness all the way up, it won't roll. And then if you turn it all the way down, it'll double the amount that it rolls or pitches. So now we have roll stiffness turned all the way up and pitch stiffness turned all the way down. And so now when accelerating and stopping, the car will pitch considerably, or yeah, will pitch a lot more because it's less stiff. Although you have to turn animated suspension on in order to see that. So now here we can see that the car pitches a lot more than it did, but then it doesn't roll at all. You can see it that it just pitches up and down, back and forth. And then if you can click the middle to reset it, and then if I turn the roll stiffness all the way down, and then turn the pitch stiffness all the way up, we can see that it will no longer pitch at all, but it will roll a whole lot, to where it actually maxes out. And so that's if you want to soften or stiffen the suspension. Tune it to your own preferences. And keeping with the tuning mode, you can control ride height and camber. So, let's say I want to lower this car for maximum steez, I could turn down the ride height, and as you can see, the car raises and lowers. And I can turn it all the way up if I want to go off-roading, and then turn it all the way down. And then you can also adjust camber. Oh, okay. So here we can see if I can get it here. You can camber up the wheels and then camber them out. You see the front wheels changing their camber there. Now solid axle cars that have solid drive axles, you cannot adjust the camber. So that you cannot adjust the rear camber on this car. And then to switch to the rear axle, you just click the top here, and then you can lower the rear. And then now it's a lowered police car. And then, oh, no, not again. That's not happening again. Alright. And then we can show the other setting here. So if I pull this other car, I can put this other thing on here, and then I can maximize the ride height. And then here you can see the side-by-side comparison of the lowered car versus the raised car. And so you can raise and lower the car by 1 pixel in each direction. So that's pretty darn cool, if I do say so myself. You can customize the ride of your car. So if I get a car that has fully independent suspension, so that's going to be the Broker, Bear, and that sort of stuff. I'll go ahead and show it off with the Broker. I can actually... Whoops, I didn't want to break the whole car. If I take this right here, it will save the data. And so when I place this, you'll notice that the car will immediately lower. So it immediately lowers, and then I can max out the camber. Now the camber, each unit is 10 degrees, so it has a maximum camber of 10 degrees in each direction. And so obviously if you max it out, it looks a little silly, but you can. That's something that, you know, you can't do in any other pack. So the camber, I just did it because I thought it was funny. But yeah. So you could fully raise and lower different cars. And the cool thing is, if you disable animated suspension, the raised and lowered suspension with camber and everything will still be set. So animated suspension just turns on the animations of like rolling and pitching and driving over bumps, but does not turn off the lowering. So that's kind of cool. You can raise and lower the suspension of your car. And then the rest of these pages don't do anything. Yet I want to do something with them in the future, but I don't really know what else to add. What other customization stuff should I add for these other 2 pages? You guys can, of course, leave comments if you want. But yeah, that is pretty much the end. I'm going to fix the text issues that these vehicles have for the police vehicles, but that's a little boring. I don't think I need to do that on stream. We can just kind of consider it done. Just for full-on, you know, let's just demonstrate everything. Let me go to Imgur here. Images. Let me just pull a random image from my Imgur. That's an animated thing, but hey, let's see if this. Excuse me. Let's see if this works. Nope. Video URLs don't work. So let me grab a different one. Ah, here we go. We'll do the one advertising full. Boom. And now we can see we've got our own custom logo, which is the UNU ad for shader support. So just in case you don't remember, UNU does have full shader support. The first pack to do so. And yeah. So yeah, remember, UNU is the best, period. There's, especially with this next update, there's really going to be no competitor. Just in terms of, I mean, if you want more detailed model, UNU's not the place for you. But other than that, UNU is pretty unparalleled, which is exciting. I'm excited for this new update. All right. Preset horns. Would you do a Q&A soon? A Q&A would be fun. Custom headlight colors. I Oh yeah, interesting stuff. One thing I was considering is custom paint colors, but that's not really possible with how I do UNU textures, unfortunately. It would require a pretty solid rework of things. Although headlight colors I could do. I'm not sure like how widespread use that would be. Although preset horns is an interesting one. Like choosing different horns. I like that idea. That could be cool. Like having custom sounds, I think that's a good idea, and I'm actually going to write that down as an idea. Let's go to my nefarious plans. Custom horns with the turbo encabulator. That's actually a decent idea, and I might implement that in the future. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be the end. So just to recap, of course, we made this awesome, cool vehicle. I do have to do the shader texture for that, which I might as well do it right now. So I'll show you how I make a shader texture real quick. So File, Import, Texture from File. And so we're going to have to go all the way here, because I don't keep them all in their own thing. JSON defs, or not JSON defs. We'll go ahead and X out of this. So yeah, I'll make the shader file real quick. I'll fix the text bugs, and then we'll kind of wrap up. So we'll import from here the UNU civil, alright, UNU civil vehicle UNU 650 base sedan. There we go. So this is what the shader file looks like. And so basically there's 3 different colors that I have on this to make things very simple. Black is not reflective. This specific gray color is for paint, and then this is for chrome. And then there's a white color for things like mirrors. But there are no mirrors here. Vulture asked, Sprichst du Deutsch? I'm learning German with my siblings, and so I put German in Minecraft, so it helps me learn a few things. So, ich spreche Kleindeutsch, aber not sehr gut, or nicht sehr gut. So, I speak a little, but not very well. Not yet. All right, so let's go ahead and chrome up some things. So that would be this right here. Oh, what am I doing? I actually don't have to do this at all. Well, actually I do. File, export as texture file. We'll go ahead and do this little temporary one here. So we've got this temporary thing here, and then a Baron police here. And so, if you remember, I had this little section down here. I have it here as well for that. Okay, so then file export. That way I can kind of start with this as a template. And then I'll import it. File, import, texture from file. 650, right there. Cool. Kummerspec, the only German word I know by heart. All right. Yeah, my siblings and I have been learning German for a while. I think we've doing about 2 months now. So I'm happy with the progress we made, but I'm still not the most confident, especially once because we use Duolingo, and so when we're in the zone and we're doing Duolingo, we're pretty good. But then we still have a hard time talking outside of it. But yeah, I took Chinese in high school, and I was terrible at it, but I'm doing a lot better with German. Okay, And then I have to make sure to make this all chrome. Get rid of that. And I think that's good. Cool. So then I'll export this, file, export, and then I'll delete this. And then I'll go over to here. And then UNU 650, and then the shader texture has the _S, which stands for spectral. This is technically a spectral map. Another step that I have to remember not to forget. I won't save. Alright, so now to fix those texture things, and then we can sort of wrap this up here. Hey, fellow German Duolingo learner. We gotta stick together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is my problem, is I accidentally do it in the middle, not the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we'll do a half. Perfect. And then this, I'll cheat again off of the Blender. Okay, so go down here to text, objects, fleet number, on the side here is 53, -4, 21.1. So this has got to be a 2.5 instead of a 3.5. And the precinct number is the same, so that'd be a 2.5 instead of whatever that is. And then the fleet number up top, I have to change 36 here divided by 16. 36 divided by 16 is 2.25, so that needs to be 2.5. And then the department abbreviation, I'm going to snag through this. Edge select that edge. So with a Y right there, times 16, -13.1 divided by 16 is that. Something doesn't seem right. And that's because it isn't. That is the Y coordinate that I just did. So the Z is 1.5 times 16. It's 24. 24.1 divided by 16. That is what I want there. And then this is that. Cool. And then, so that's the text issues fixed. And then I also did the shader. So that should be good. Okay, you missed your German lessons today. Tactical nuke, yeah. Yeah, I don't have a smartphone, and so my siblings and I do it on my sister's phone, so she gets all the notifications. But yeah, we've done it every day. Our streak is 53 days, I believe. Although sometimes we miss it, and Heather, my sister, just does a practice. So, but yeah, other than that, we're doing pretty good. By the way, where can I find the template file for the UNU vehicles? I heard you made it public. Want some texture vehicles? Oh, okay. So, to find the template files, I did make them public. Let's see. So you're gonna want to go over to the old Googles, and then UNU template pack curse should pull it right up. Yep, UNU template pack mods. That's this right here. It's got this thumbnail of the template vehicle, and this will have all the template textures in it. I would highly recommend using the skin system that MTS has. You could make your own duplicate pack, but one, you're stealing models, and two, if I update the models for things like suspension, your copied model in JSON doesn't get that update. So using the skin, it's a very simple format. You basically just do the definition section of the vehicle JSON. I will be making a tutorial on how to use the UNU template pack. I just haven't gotten around to it. I might do it as a live stream, honestly. These live streams are nice. But yeah, and then you just can make your own pack. You can use the UNU template pack as like a baseline, and then you could release it. You could put it on CurseForge. Other people can download it. Because the way the skin pack to work is you have to have the base pack installed for it to do anything, and then it adds your skins. And so I support the skin pack. I support skin packs because you make a skin, it uses my vehicle. So in order for somebody to use it and to use your skin pack, what's going on? I'm not walking randomly. In order for somebody to use your skin pack, they have to install UNU. And for me, I consider that decent credit. Something didn't work. Okay, that didn't change at all, so I think I just didn't save it or something. Oh, I updated the Baron instead of the proper thing. Okay, so now the Baron's all screwed up. Let's go ahead and check. Graphics to Lugan. Okay, and then shader. Seuss renewed. I think I'll ask my next question on Discord. My pack has some examples of that. Yeah, so yeah, making a skin pack is super easy. If I make a tutorial, it'll take me like 15 minutes to explain everything. All right, cool. And now we got the shaders support for the new vehicle. Now, I am aware that the vehicles look too shiny, but if I make it one step less shiny, they're not shiny at all. So, yeah, that's just how it is. They look fine most of the time, but the darker colors especially don't come out as well. Whereas cars like this, I mean, it's fine. Okay. So let me go ahead and disable blend the beams and the flares. Blended lights, bright lights, vehicle beams. Is it blended lights that I want to disable? Alright, well now I'm getting into... There we go. Anyway, I gotta fix my fix because I accidentally did the wrong thing here. Although I did notice that these two, which should be the same, are slightly different. I wonder what's up with that. I wonder which one's right. Okay, so I know that this one is right, but I'll have to redo these because I just modified them. Alright, so 36, negative 25.10. This is the fleet number for the roof. And then we've got 18, negative 4, 21.1. Excuse me. This is the precinct number. And then the fleet number. 53, negative 4, 21.1. Yes, very different. Okay, so this should be fixed now. It helps when you update the right thing. Of course, quality UNU patrons do have access to all this stuff already. And in fact, let me go ahead and copy my latest updates to the UNU Dropbox folder. So, don't let some loading times get in the way of shameless promotion. UNU does have a Patreon. If you decide to donate there, you will get early access to UNU dev packs. So things like this animated suspension I've been working on for a long time. It took me a while to add it to every single UNU vehicle, but in the meantime, the UNU patrons had access to the dev folder. And so they could download early versions of the packs and be able to mess around with it before anybody else, help test it out. It's always great to support the mod as well. There are 3 tiers. There's a $1 to the pack, access to the Patreon page. I do exclusive posts on there, usually talking about some of these early access things. So UNU patrons have known about the Turbo Encabulator for quite a long time. And I usually will also use the Patreon page to give some more in-depth backstory on my modeling. So I talked about the UNU mule and stuff like that. So if you want to know more about UNU in general, you can always support us there. There's also a $5 and $10 tier. Those will get you mentioned in my videos. But other than that, they don't have any other extra perks. So I always encourage people to donate what they can afford. And if that's nothing, hey, I get that. I don't want anyone to feel pressured into donating, but I always appreciate it. And you do get a few perks, Discord ranks, and things like that. And wait for to load, and we'll see if this controls Z no work. Simcy Banks. I will leave the Baron, but I still have to update this. Oh, and so that is in the right spot now. I just have to change the angle and scale back. So let's go and fix that. What is that? All right. Okay, so I gotta copy that because that's the angle. And then the scale I also have to do. So the scale, I'm just going to cheat again and do this multiplied by 5 divided by 7 to get the new scale, rather than have to think about what it's supposed to be. Alright, but other than that, it looks like everything's in the right spot. The number seems a little too big. It hangs over the edge a little bit. That's weird. Okay, well, it looks like the text is going to have to require some extra attention, because also the 75 isn't showing up, and my guess is that it is showing up, but on the back side. No. Where's the 75? Oh, there it is. It's just in too far. Weird. Alright, well, I'll work on the text some other time. But yeah, I'm going to end the stream here. And so just to recap some of the new features coming to the latest version of UNU, besides this very cool new police car. So we've got the ability, the main sticking point is the Turbo Encabulator. It allows you to fully modify any UNU vehicle. Ride height, suspension stiffness, right-hand drive, all that fun stuff. Like, seriously, can't forget about that right-hand drive. Like, that's really cool that you can just, boom, pop in. It all automatically, it just works. Like, and for vehicles like the 750, it even mirrors the suspension animations, which are different. So yeah, you get right-hand drive, which I know Falcon will like. The only downside with right-hand drive is it flips the seat positions, and so you have to open the opposite door to get into the front seat, and it will stick you out the opposite front door. There's not really anything that I could do about that, just because with the dismount position, that is set per seat. I can't change that. And then getting the proper doors to open, that would be... I tried it. It turned into a huge whole thing. So I just decided that right-hand drive, having to get in through the opposite door, it's not that bad. So for example, like if you walked up and you went on this side, you open the door, and then you try to click the seat, you end up in the opposite seat, you can just scooch over. It's not that bad. I think it's a decent compromise to have every single vehicle be right-hand drive automatically with the Turbo Encabulator. You have gentle steering, which I'll go ahead and demonstrate that really quick. So if I accelerate here, we can see when we're stopped, we can turn the full turning, and then as we get faster, you turn less and less. And so right now, the steering is it overcorrects too much, so like I could barely steer, which is fine for like slight adjustments, but that's why it's default turned off, because it's a little too strong. And then yeah, so you got right-hand drive, and then you also of course have, well, let me put the parking brake on. And then you also have the ride height stuff, so you can lower the car, which is super cool. I mean, this is cool to be able to, you know, set your ride height and everything. And then you can also set the camber. Again, only on non-solid axle wheels, so on this vehicle, the rear camber cannot be adjusted. And then other options, which for now don't do anything, but they'll do something in the future. And then, of course, you've got full suspension animations for every single vehicle. And I mean every single vehicle. Every single vehicle has these perfect suspension animations. So I'll go ahead and show off with another. I'm going to turn on auto start engine. That'll make that a little easier. And then turn off the headlights. So we'll go ahead and grab a Baron. And then here again we can see fully animated proper suspension. I mean, the springs even stretch and compress, which is pretty darn good. And then here we can see a flying car. So I've got the camber pitched out here, but you can see like even the springs fully extend and compress, which is pretty darn cool. That was quite the challenge to do. And then even the military vehicles have animated suspension. I think I might have to turn this one on. So one thing you will notice is vehicles that were loaded before suspension was added, you will have to turn the suspension back on. You will have to turn the suspension on manually because it will start off as off. But yeah, here we can see the suspension is animated, the leaf springs move, the drive shafts move. So if I drive over these speed bumps, you'll notice that the drive shafts even animate properly. It's a little hard to see, but yeah, you can see that the drive shafts animate properly. And I will say, the solid axle animation is not easy. So you can see here, I have this bounce one to kind of demonstrate. And look, even on the Mastodon, the little radius rods animate. Like, this is awesome. But you can see how the entire axle moves with just one wheel and how that other wheel moves. So both wheels control how the axle moves, and there's a lot of math behind that. And I derived the entire equation. And so this kind of shows what's going on. You can see that I can play with it here. But just to kind of show you, this is the math that goes on behind it. So this is the math that controls how these suspension pieces all play nice together. It's not easy, but it's 100% worth it, because why do it if it's not going to be perfect? So yeah, when I say UNU quality, I mean it. Gosh darn it. So yeah, you have these awesome animations that are all over the place. Every single vehicle has fully animated suspension. You can customize it and everything, or even turn it off if you don't want it. So this update is going to be a huge one. I am super excited for it, and I hope you guys are as well. And I think that's a good place to end this. So I'm going to go ahead and end it. We got the car in game, wherever it is. The old testing field is a complete mess. I love it. Okay, we got some down here, so I can go ahead and I'll make this the thumbnail. We got it in game, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. So yeah, we got the car in game. Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll do that instead. And yeah, the update's coming out in less than 48 hours. It's the day after tomorrow, the 26th Pacific time. And I hope you guys are stoked for it. I am, and I'll see y'all the next time. Next stream, probably won't. I might, for the tutorial of how to use the skin packs, I'll probably make that a stream because it'll just be easier to do than make a pre-record thing and edit it. So look forward to that. I can't say when I'll do it, but just know it's coming.